Every single day, life gives us a choice. Stay comfortable where we are or stretch ourselves into the unknown. Growth never comes from comfort. Success never comes from easy. If you want a life that's extraordinary, you must be willing to do the things most people avoid. You must challenge yourself daily, because the truth is this: the size of your life will always mirror the size of your challenges. When you wake up every morning, you're either stepping forward into growth or falling backward into stagnation. And here's the thing: success is not built in one big moment. It's built in small daily acts of courage. Every time you face discomfort, every time you lean into fear, every time you go one step beyond your limits, you're stacking the bricks of greatness. There is a line that separates the life you have from the life you want. That line is called your comfort zone. On one side, you have everything you already know, everything that feels safe, predictable, and easy. On the other side lies growth, opportunity, and success. But here's the truth most people don't want to face: you cannot cross that line by standing still. You have to be willing to move beyond what's comfortable and into what's uncertain. Comfort zones feel good in the short term, but they rob you in the long run. Staying in your comfort zone is like sitting in lukewarm water. Safe, not painful, but slowly draining your energy. It gives you the illusion of peace while quietly eroding your potential. The people who achieve the extraordinary are not the ones who stay safe. They are the ones who constantly step into the discomfort that forces them to grow. Think about it: the first time you learned to walk, it was uncomfortable. The first time you rode a bike, it was uncomfortable. The first time you spoke in public, it was uncomfortable. Every breakthrough you've ever had in life required discomfort. That's the pattern of progress. Growth demands challenge. Growth requires that you lean into what scares you. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is the compass that points you toward where growth is waiting. If something makes you nervous, it's usually because it matters. The problem is, most people mistake fear for a stop sign, when in reality, it's a green light. It's a signal saying, this is the direction you must go if you want to expand. When you see fear, you need to reframe it, not as a barrier but as an invitation. Stepping outside your comfort zone doesn't always mean huge, dramatic leaps. Sometimes it means small, consistent acts of courage. Waking up earlier than you're used to, saying yes to an opportunity you'd normally avoid, pushing through one more rep at the gym, making the call that feels uncomfortable. Those small acts of courage, compounded over time, create monumental growth. The difference between people who live extraordinary lives and those who don't is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the willingness to do what's uncomfortable. It's the ability to embrace the unknown and act anyway. Because the truth is, the life you dream of will never be built inside the walls of what feels safe. When you challenge yourself to leave the comfort zone, something powerful happens. You change your identity. You stop being the person who settles and you become the person who creates. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence is built by action. Every time you push yourself beyond what feels safe, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more. And once you prove that to yourself, your world changes. What used to feel terrifying becomes normal. What used to feel impossible becomes part of your everyday life. Think about people who run marathons. The first mile feels exhausting. The 5th mile feels overwhelming. But the more they train, the more their body adapts, and suddenly what once felt impossible becomes easy. That's exactly how growth works. Your comfort zone is a cage built by your past experiences. It's shaped by your fears, your failures, your doubts, and your conditioning. But cages are meant to be broken. You don't have to accept those limits. You can push past them. The moment you do, you realize the bars of the cage were never real. They were only in your mind. Every challenge you embrace outside of your comfort zone is like lifting weights. At first, it feels heavy. At first, you struggle. But with repetition, your strength increases. The same weight that once made you sweat becomes light. And that's when you go for a heavier weight, because the game of growth never ends. The stronger you become, the bigger your challenges must be. People wait for the right time to leave their comfort zones, but that time never comes. The right time doesn't exist. Growth doesn't schedule itself on your calendar. You have to choose it. You have to take action even when you don't feel ready, because readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. When you step out before you feel ready, that's when transformation happens. Discomfort is the birthplace of freedom. Every dream you've ever had, whether it's financial freedom, physical transformation, or deeper relationships, requires discomfort as the entry fee. You cannot bargain your way into growth. You pay for it with courage, discipline, and action. And the more you're willing to pay, the more you'll receive. The most successful people are not fearless. They are simply willing to feel the fear and act anyway. They've trained themselves to see discomfort not as pain, but as progress. They've conditioned themselves to run toward the challenge instead of away from it. That's why they succeed, not because they're special, but because they've mastered the art of living outside the comfort zone. And here's the beautiful thing: the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. At first, stepping out feels like jumping off a cliff, but eventually it feels like climbing a mountain. Yes, it's still hard. Yes, it still requires effort, but instead of falling into fear, you're ascending into greatness, and with every step, your perspective expands. You see more, you experience more, you become more. Growth lives outside your comfort zone, always has, always will. If you want to build a life of success, fulfillment, and impact, you must train yourself to leave the safe harbor and sail into uncharted waters. Because the only way to discover who you truly are and what you're truly capable of is to challenge yourself daily to step beyond what feels easy and into what feels alive. Success isn't built overnight. It's not one big moment, not a single breakthrough, not some lightning strike of luck that suddenly transforms everything. Success is built brick by brick, day by day, through the choices you make and the actions you take. And the foundation of it all is discipline. Without discipline, goals remain dreams. Without discipline, potential stays locked away. But when you commit to daily challenges, you build the muscle of discipline that shapes your destiny. Discipline is like a seed. When you plant it once, nothing happens. When you water it once, nothing changes. But when you keep showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it, the seed takes root. Over time, it grows into a tree so strong that no storm can knock it down. That's what daily challenges do for you. They root discipline into your life until it becomes who you are, not just what you do. The truth is, anybody can be motivated for a moment. Anybody can get fired up after hearing a great message, reading an inspiring story, or watching a powerful video, but motivation fades, excitement wears off. What carries you forward is not how motivated you feel. It's the discipline you've trained into yourself. And that discipline is forged by taking on challenges every single day. When you wake up earlier than your body wants, you're not just getting out of bed, you're training discipline. When you push through the last reps at the gym when your muscles are screaming, you're not just building strength, you're training discipline. When you make the difficult phone call or do the uncomfortable task instead of putting it off, you're not just moving forward, you're training discipline. Every daily challenge you embrace is another repetition in the gym of self-mastery. Consistency is the secret ingredient that makes discipline unstoppable. Doing something once doesn't change your life. Doing it once in a while won't move the needle, but doing it every day, no matter how small the action, creates momentum. Consistency compounds. It turns effort into progress, progress into habits, and habits into results. And the more consistent you are, the more unstoppable you become. Think about water dripping on a rock. 1 drop means nothing. 10 drops do nothing. But after years of consistent dripping, even stone wears down. That's the power of consistency. It makes the impossible possible through relentless repetition. The same applies to your life. Daily challenges may feel small in the moment, but over time they carve out the person you were meant to become. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. They start strong, but they don't stay strong. They let distractions, excuses, or comfort pull them off course, but the ones who succeed are not necessarily the most talented or the most gifted. They're simply the ones who refuse to break their consistency. They're the ones who keep showing up day after day, challenge after challenge, until the results speak for themselves. The beauty of daily challenges is that they simplify success. You don't need to conquer the entire mountain today. You don't need to run the marathon tomorrow. You just need to take one step. You just need to commit to one challenge each day, and over time those challenges stack up into extraordinary results. Success doesn't require massive leaps. It requires consistent steps. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's not about depriving yourself or living with restriction. Discipline is freedom. Because when you're disciplined, you control your habits instead of your habits controlling you. You choose your actions instead of being a slave to your impulses. Daily challenges are the training ground where you reclaim that control. They teach you that you're the master of your mind, your body, and your destiny. It's easy to look at someone who has achieved massive success and think they're just lucky or gifted. But what you don't see are the countless daily challenges they committed to long before anyone noticed. You don't see the mornings they got up before the sun. You don't see the hours they worked when no one was watching. You don't see the sacrifices they made when it would have been easier to give in. Discipline and consistency don't get celebrated in the moment, but they always get rewarded in the end. Every time you complete a daily challenge, you send a message to yourself, I can trust me. That's powerful, because most people live in a constant cycle of breaking promises to themselves. They say they'll change, but they don't. They say they'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes, and every broken promise weakens their self-belief. Daily challenges rebuild that trust. They prove to you that your word has weight, that your actions align with your intentions, and that you are in control. And once you trust yourself, your confidence explodes. You stop waiting for external validation. You stop comparing yourself to others. You know you'll show up. You know you'll follow through. And that kind of confidence can't be faked. It can't be bought. It can't be handed to you. It's earned through the fire of daily discipline. Consistency also creates momentum, and momentum is the most powerful force you can harness. Once you get moving, once you establish the rhythm of daily challenges, everything becomes easier. Momentum turns hard work into habit. It removes the mental struggle of deciding whether to act because action has become automatic. And when you're operating from momentum, nothing can stop you. The truth is, success isn't sexy in the process. It's not glamorous when you're waking up in the dark, grinding through the work, sweating through the effort, but that's where greatness is built. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Not in the moments people celebrate, but in the daily challenges no one sees. That's where discipline and consistency are forged. That's where champions are created. When you make daily challenges non-negotiable, you stop waiting for life to happen to you and you start creating life on your terms. You stop relying on motivation and you start living by commitment. And the person you become through that process is unshakable. Because no matter what obstacle stands in your way, you know you have the discipline to face it and the consistency to overcome it inside you right now. There is more power than you've ever tapped into. There is more strength than you've ever used. There is more wisdom, more creativity, more resilience, and more brilliance waiting to be unlocked. But here's the truth. You will never discover that potential by staying comfortable. You will only access it when you place yourself in situations that demand it. Challenges are the keys that unlock the hidden rooms of your potential. Think about a muscle. If you never stress it, it never grows. If you only lift what feels easy, your body has no reason to adapt. But when you place it under resistance, when you push it beyond its current limit, it tears, it rebuilds, it grows stronger. Your mind and spirit work the same way. Challenges are the resistance that stretches you. They might feel heavy in the moment, but they're shaping you into someone stronger, someone greater, someone capable of more. The first time you face a challenge, it feels overwhelming. Your mind screams, I can't do this. Your body feels like giving up, but when you push through, something incredible happens. You expand your belief in yourself. What once felt impossible becomes possible. And the next time you face that same challenge, it no longer feels like a wall. It feels like a step. That's the process of growth. Every challenge you face rewrites the story of what you're capable of. Potential is not discovered in comfort. It is demanded by pressure. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. And you too are shaped by the challenges you face. Every time life places resistance in front of you, it's not punishing you. It's preparing you. It's calling you to rise higher, to tap into more, to step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. The beautiful thing about challenges is that they don't just grow your capacity in one area. They spill over into every area of your life. When you challenge yourself physically, you develop mental toughness. When you challenge yourself mentally, you gain emotional resilience. When you challenge yourself emotionally, you develop spiritual strength. Every challenge you face multiplies your potential across the board. Most people underestimate themselves not because they lack potential, but because they've never demanded more of themselves. They've never truly tested their limits. They settle for what's easy, what's safe, what's familiar. And so they live far below their true capacity. But the moment you embrace a challenge, the moment you say, "I will not settle for less than I'm capable of," you unlock a new level of potential that has been waiting inside you all along. Potential expands like a ripple. The first time you succeed at something you thought you couldn't do, your confidence grows. That confidence spills over into other areas of your life. You start believing you can take on bigger challenges. And the more challenges you conquer, the larger your circle of possibility becomes. Soon, things that once seemed impossible are just another part of your reality. Challenges are also teachers. They reveal who you are when things get hard. They strip away the masks and the excuses. They show you your weaknesses, yes, but more importantly, they show you your strength. You might not always win the first time, but even in failure, your potential expands. Because failure is not the end. Failure is feedback. Failure teaches you what needs to change so you can come back stronger. Every time you take on a challenge, you're not just growing skills. You're reshaping your identity. You're no longer the person who doubts, hesitates, or avoids. You're becoming the person who steps up, who faces fear, who embraces the unknown. And once your identity shifts, your life shifts with it. Because you don't rise to the level of your goals, you rise to the level of your standards. Challenges raise your standards, and with them, your entire reality. The greatest breakthroughs always come after the greatest resistance. The moments where you feel like giving up are the exact moments where your potential is about to expand. The challenge that feels unbearable today becomes the story of your strength tomorrow. One day you'll look back at the battles you're fighting now and realize they were the very experiences that shaped you into the person you needed to become. Every challenge also expands your vision. When you push through something difficult, your perspective widens. You begin to see possibilities that were invisible before. You stop asking, "Can I?" And you start asking, "What's next?" You stop limiting yourself to what feels comfortable, and you start chasing what feels alive. Challenges don't just expand your capacity, they expand your imagination of what's possible. The people who achieve greatness in this world are not the ones who avoid challenges, they're the ones who welcome them. They understand that every challenge is an opportunity in disguise. They know that the discomfort of the moment is the doorway to the destiny they're chasing. And because they lean into challenges instead of away from them, they keep expanding, keep evolving, keep stepping into higher and higher levels of their potential. And here's the truth, your potential is limitless. There is no finish line. Every time you reach a new level, there's another one waiting. Every time you expand, there's more to discover. Challenges are the pathway to that limitless potential. They never stop, and that's a gift. Because as long as you have challenges, you have growth. As long as you have growth, you have purpose. And as long as you have purpose, you have life. So when you see a challenge standing in your way, don't run from it. Don't shrink back into comfort. Step into it. Embrace it. Let it stretch you. Let it shape you. Let it expand you. Because every challenge you face is not here to stop you. It's here to show you just how powerful, capable, and unstoppable you truly are.